Hey everyone, I'm in Farming Simulator 22 on the Xbox Series X, and here I'm going to show you how landscaping works. So let's have a little look at the landscaping tools. To find them, you've got to hit the screens button on your controller. That's the one to the left of the light up Xbox logo. And then when you're on this page, hit right button until you find others. And then you want construction, so move your left stick until you get to construction. You'll then come into this area here, and you can see we've come out quite far to this view here, and then my right D-pad goes through these different areas, and the one I'm interested in is landscaping. So when I've selected that, I'm just going to hit A to select, and then we've got these different areas. We've got sculpting, painting, trees, and plants. So I'm going to go through each of these here and show you what they do. So we're on the sculpting at the minute. Hit down on the D-pad, and then we come to these different areas here. We've got raise, lower, level, soften, and slope. Now you can see that I've got this field here, so let's go with the first one. So when we've got that selected, you can use the right stick to select things, and then when you press A, you will get these options here that say raise, cancel, lower. So I can cancel that if I want, and that basically comes out of the option here. So when I'm going to here, pressing A selects it and brings up these controls. So I'm on the raise lower thing. So A is raising stuff up, as we can see. So I'm holding down A and I'm raising this area up, and X lowers it back down again. Now, one thing to bear in mind is as you're doing this, look at my bank balance down the top, up the top right. It actually gets hammered as we do this, so you don't want to do this too much. Now you can zoom in and zoom out using your left trigger and right trigger so you can see what you're doing. Now generally the raise is not something you want to do that often, because the floor is fairly, you want flat areas, for most things like your fields and putting your buildings down and stuff. So this sort of raise lower would tend to be if there was a dip existing or a big hill that you would tend to go in and use this. You can also change the brush strength by hitting up on your D-pad, so I can make it much bigger effect here. So if I now raise, it's having a bigger effect than it did before, and hitting down on the D-pad lowers that effect as well. I can also change the brush size by hitting right on the D-pad, so I can do a much larger raise here. Now this is obviously going to do a much bigger effect, like we can see there. So I'm raising up this massive hill now. What a nightmare. And then X again would lower it back down. I'm just spending money like it's going out of fashion. You can also see this is destroying the crops and stuff, but don't worry too much about that because we can paint over that and change how that's done in a moment. You can also rotate the camera around using the right stick, which is what I'm doing here. And I can also cancel by hitting the B to come out of this and use a different tool. So at the minute, all my tools are dedicated towards this specific raise lower tool. So let's come out here and have a little look at another tool. So I hit B, and then I'm using the right on the D-pad to go over to level. So level, in theory, should level this out for me. So we'll hit this, and again we've got the same sort of things here. We've got A to level stuff. Now my sort of cursor shape, you can see I've got the option to go square or circle by hitting Y, and I can change the brush size by hitting right on the D-pad or left on the D-pad to go smaller. So if I do it now, what it should do is level all that out for me, so I've got a fairly uniform shape. And if I just hold down A as I drag along, I'm getting this big sort of raised but level area. So I've got a nice sort of area here to do stuff with. So that's the way that one works. Again, everything else is pretty similar. You've got the zoom camera, rotate camera, that's all the same. There's also the option to tilt the camera, which is up and down, which can sometimes be useful, I suppose. But you can see how level that area is now. So we've got that one there. So if we hit B, go over to the next one, we've got soften, which will kind of, funny enough, soften the edges of this. This is already fairly smooth, but I don't know whether we'll see much here. I'll increase the strength. Maybe we'll see a slight bit here. Let's zoom in a bit. It's already pretty soft. There, can you see that's just softening down? It's hard to see, but it's sort of softening that sort of ridge, just so it's a bit more gentle. So quite where you'd want to use this, I'm not sure. Maybe if you've got a harsh sort of area of land already, but I'm just going through them. So again, the brush strength, you can adjust with up and down on the D-pad, the brush size, left and right, etc. But you can see they're all very similar, so once you know how these controls work, they'll work in a similar fashion. So let's B out again, and then we can also mess around with slopes. So press A here, so you can set a slope target point. So we could say the target point, I don't know, is down here. So press X, and then we could change the cursor shape. And then as we mess around here, we'll sort of get a slope from one to the next. Bit of a confusing one, that one, but you can get a gradual slope messing around with this one with it. So you can sort of get, well, funny enough, slopes sort of sloping down from stuff. Again, why you would really want to use it, I'm not sure. Maybe just to ease up some sort of ground or something like that. But yeah, that's the sculpting tool. So quite interesting that you can make major changes. I've basically ruined the field there, but you get the idea with it. So what I will try and do now is just sort of level this back out again. So we'll go to the raise lower, increase that, and just sort of try and zoom out a bit, try and lower this down a bit. So this is where this big, I think it's pretty hard now because I've ruined the piece of land. It's like whoops. But I did want to show you a couple of other things on here that are rather nice as well. So I've sort of done this back to front, but I don't know whether we'll do it, whether we'll get this level or not. So we'll just go with the level here and just see whether we can just make it that a little bit better. Sort of wants to, it's sort of getting there, isn't it? I don't know if it'll, I think we've got too much damage here. I think this is going to take a while to sort out. It's sort of getting there, isn't it? I think. Yeah, I think with a bit more work we could get there. But I do want to crack on and show some of the other controls that we've got here in the landscaping tools. There's back out of here, and the one I want to show you now. So I've hit back, so we're on this sort of section here, and then I've just hit up on the D-pad, and I want to move over to painting. This is something that threw me completely to start with, which was if you've got a field and you want to have it treated a different way, how do you do it? And you do it with this painting area here. So if we now go down in the painting section, I can have mud, asphalt, dirt, forest ground, or grass, or gravel. So this is quite nice that you can quickly make an area, like a, your starting area. I was like, oh cool, I like this asphalt area here. How could I have more of it? And you can do that with these things here. So let's go and ruin this field here with it. So again, once we've come up with the one we want to do, let's say we want to do asphalt. So I hit A, and then we're in here, and again we can change the cursor shape. Why can't I see it? Maybe change it. It's probably too small, is it? There we go, going a bit bigger. And then we'll change the cursor shape to the square. And then as we go here, you can see I've just completely wrecked my crop, but I've got this massive area of asphalt now, which is pretty cool. You can't seem to paint everywhere with it, so it's sort of a bit hit and miss. Some things particularly that are, I suppose, outside your bit of land is like, you can't touch that. So it's sort of a bit hit and miss, but sometimes it'll sort of paint over some areas and then not when you go back to it. So, but the cool thing with that is now I've got this big area here, which might be quite nice to build a big sort of shed on. You obviously want to be a bit careful with this, because if you mess it up, I don't think it'll undo it. I'll just sort of keep it as it is. So that's that there. Let's just have a little look at another one. So if I wanted some grass, again, I could do this here, just change the size of the brush again, and then just go and paint. Let's do it. Let's have a little look. Yeah, there we go. So we've got grass now. So you can quickly create, quite big changes to your fields and stuff, and sort of decorate them as you see fit. With this tool, so it's quite nice. So the landscaping is pretty powerful. If we then back out of there, I know I've made quite the mess there, so but hey ho, we're just sort of experimenting here, and of course you can zoom in and see how this is looking. So with the left trigger, right trigger as we're going. What else have we got? So if we back out there again, we've then got trees is an option. So the trees, you can place these on your bit of land. Now some of these are very expensive, some are fairly cheap. So it depends what you want, but it's still quite cool that you can have them. So we could, look at this one, 1600. Young birch, small birch, medium birch, yeah, some oaks. So we could have an oak. So again, the way these work is pick the tree that you want, press, wow, look at the size of that, it's beautiful. So you can rotate it randomly by hitting Y, which is quite nice, or you can rotate it with the left button to whatever position you want, and then you can just place it when you're happy by hitting A. So I've got this nice sort of large oak there. So of course then I can move across, maybe zoom out, so place these however I see fit. These huge trees, but they are costing me lots of money for each one that I place. But it's pretty cool that you've got this option. So let's just back and just pick another one. So we could have, let's go with a, I don't know, small willow. Look at that, that's a much smaller tree. And it's quite cool because it notices, where we're in autumn. So you can really sort of make your farm your own by applying, whatever plants you want to it. And lastly, in the landscaping section, if I hit B again, I can go to plants. And plants is lots of smaller little options here. So we go back down. But you can see there's not a great deal of these things, but you've got things like little flowers and things. Not a great deal of stuff, but maybe let's have a little look here. So maybe if we wanted to place some here, just a little bit of interest around the building, just to make it that bit more interesting. So I'm just hitting A to place these. You can change the, you can also remove stuff by hitting X with this one, or place them with A. You can change the cursor shape. I'm not sure whether that, I can't really get in any closer to this, but you could have, I suppose, a little round clump of them. And then we could change to these little cornflowers, do those as well. But I like that you can sort of remove stuff if you make an error on it, so that's quite nice. Bushes, so not loads of stuff that you've got for the plants, but at least a little bit of interest that you've got. You could, add a bit of meadow to an area like this, just to make it that little bit pretty. And that's it for landscaping. So I hope that was interesting to you. If it was, give us a thumbs up, please. That's much appreciated. Any comments very welcome, even if it's thanks for that. That's really helpful because it helps other people see the video, and I tend to reply to all my comments, so drop me a comment, even just say hello and I'll say hello back. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I've got loads of tutorials on Farming Simulator 22, really enjoying learning this game and sort of discovering all the different things about it. So have a little look at the rest of my channel. I'll pop up a few tutorials at the end of this video. Have a little look at those. There'll be the playlist for all the tutorials, or a couple that I think you might find interesting. If you like those, please subscribe to my channel and you'll be kept up to date with the latest videos that I'm making. I make loads of videos on different games. Farming Simulator 22 is my current one, but you'll find FIFA 22, Forza Horizon 5 and many other games. Thanks so much for watching.